Are you constantly putting others before yourself, only to feel unappreciated and drained? Stoicism teaches us to value our time and energy, focusing on what we can control and safeguarding our inner peace. Today, we'll explore 7 signs that you're too available, and most importantly, how to reclaim your power. You always drop everything for others. Let's face it, life gets busy. But when someone calls or asks for help, you immediately drop everything to meet their needs. On the surface, this might seem like generosity or being dependable. However, consistently prioritizing others at the expense of your time and energy comes with consequences. Stoicism reminds us to balance our obligations to others with our duty to preserve our inner peace. Marcus Aurelius said it best: if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. In this case, over-availability can rob us of our power, not because of others, but because of how we respond. Here's how it might play out in everyday life. You're in the middle of an important work task, but someone calls and you stop everything to assist. A colleague suddenly asks for help with a problem, and instead of saying, "You're busy," you drop what you're doing. A friend sends a text asking for a favor, and before you think it through, you've already said yes. These interruptions may seem minor, but over time they create a pattern where your priorities are constantly placed on hold. Constantly being on call for others has deeper implications than just losing focus. It can cause you to fall behind on your personal goals and tasks. It often leads to burnout, leaving you resentful and frustrated. Worst of all, people may start to take your willingness for granted, expecting you to always be available, even for trivial matters. Consider this: by always being available for others, are you showing up for yourself? Each time you say yes to them, what are you saying no to in your own life? The good news is that you can break this pattern and set healthier boundaries, all while maintaining your relationships. Reclaiming your power starts with learning to say not now without guilt. Here's how. Assess the urgency. Not every request requires immediate action. Ask yourself, is this truly urgent or can it wait? Communicate your boundaries clearly. For example, if someone interrupts your focus, say, "I'm in the middle of something right now, but I can help at specific time." Prioritize your schedule. Designate non-negotiable time blocks in your day for deep work, self-care, or personal goals. Treat these appointments with the same respect you'd give to a work meeting. A practical example: you're working on an important project and a friend calls needing advice. Instead of dropping everything, respond with, "Hey, I'd love to help, but I'm busy at the moment. Can I call you back in an hour?" When you protect your time and energy, you communicate self-respect, not just to others, but to yourself. Being there for others is admirable, but it's only sustainable when balanced with taking care of your own needs. By embracing this mindset, you can truly live a life guided by reason, intention, and inner peace. You're the one who always initiates plans. Relationships thrive on mutual effort, whether they're friendships, romantic partnerships, or family connections. But have you ever noticed that you're always the one reaching out to make plans? Stoicism encourages us to live with intention and reciprocity, which includes paying attention to where we invest our energy. When relationships feel one-sided, it might be time to reevaluate how and where you're expending your efforts. Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." Likewise, we should avoid wasting time chasing relationships that don't reflect balance and shared respect. Here are some examples of what this looks like in daily life. You're the one consistently sending messages, trying to lock down dates for plans. You call friends or family members, but rarely or never get calls in return. You extend invitations for outings or events, and others seem non-committal or don't follow through. Over time, this cycle can leave you feeling like the relationships you value most aren't valued equally by the other person. Consistently being the initiator in relationships can lead to emotional exhaustion and even resentment. It creates an imbalance where you're constantly giving while receiving little effort in return. You may feel unappreciated, as though others only spend time with you out of convenience, not genuine interest. Worst of all, it can impact your self-esteem, making you question whether you're worthy of reciprocal care and attention. From a Stoic perspective, this cycle detracts from your inner peace. Stoics teach us to focus on what we can control, and relationships built on unequal effort may be outside of that control. Ask yourself, if I stop initiating plans, will the other person reach out, or would the relationship quietly fade away? Sometimes that silence speaks volumes about the strength of the connection. Reclaiming your power doesn't mean cutting ties or harboring resentment. It means creating space for balance, reciprocity, and authentic connections. Here's how. Take a step back. Stop being the first to reach out for a while. Allow space for others to make an effort. This can be challenging, but it's a necessary test to see who values your presence. Observe and reflect. Notice who checks in when you don't. Genuine relationships involve mutual investment. If no one initiates, it might be time to reconsider how much effort you're putting into that relationship. Set clear standards. Invest your energy in people who uplift you and reciprocate. Communicate your feelings if the relationship is important. For instance, say, I've noticed I'm always the one to reach out. It'd mean a lot to me if you checked in sometimes too. Focus on yourself. Use the time and energy you save to work on personal goals. Hobbies or meeting new people who genuinely want to be a part of your life. By shifting your focus inward and stepping back, you give others the opportunity to step up. Remember, reciprocity in relationships should come naturally. It's not something you have to chase. The time and energy you reclaim can be redirected to the people and activities that bring real value to your life. Stoicism reminds us to let go of what we cannot control, and that includes others' actions. When we prioritize ourselves, we attract relationships that are built on genuine connection rather than obligation. Let go of the need to always initiate and instead make space for balance, respect, and mutual care. You deserve it. You respond instantly to messages or calls. In the age of smartphones, constant connectivity has become the norm. But does every message really require an instant reply? If your default response is to answer every text, email, or call the moment it comes in, it could signal that you're too accessible. While responsiveness can be polite, overdoing it may compromise your boundaries and inner peace. Stoicism teaches us to act with intention, not impulse. As Epictetus said, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid with regard to external things. In other words, not every interaction deserves your immediate attention. Taking a moment to pause empowers you to respond thoughtfully rather than react reflexively. This might sound familiar. You're in the middle of exercising, reading, or relaxing, but your phone buzzes and you immediately stop what you're doing to respond. Someone emails you at odd hours and you feel compelled to answer right away, even if it's not urgent. You jump to answer every phone call, even when it disrupts your current focus. While it may seem like you're just being efficient or courteous, these habits might be taking a toll on your well-being. Responding instantly can create significant issues, both for you and your relationships. You sacrifice your focus. Interruptions derail your ability to stay in the moment, whether you're working, relaxing, or spending time with loved ones. Constantly switching tasks can lead to diminished productivity. You reinforce unrealistic expectations. When you always reply right away, people may start expecting instant responses, even for non-urgent matters. This can create stress when you're unable, or unwilling, to meet those demands. You lose control of your time. By responding immediately, you allow external demands to dictate your day rather than prioritizing what's most important to you. From a Stoic perspective, this behavior places your peace of mind at the mercy of external factors, which is the opposite of living with purpose and intention. Ask yourself, is this urgency real, or am I imposing it on myself? Will waiting to respond truly harm the situation, or could it improve my ability to reply thoughtfully? Breaking the habit of instant responses doesn't mean ignoring others or being unkind. It's about regaining control of your time and creating boundaries that allow you to engage meaningfully. Here's how you can reclaim your power. Turn off non-essential notifications. Reduce distractions by silencing apps or alerts that aren't urgent. Reserve notifications for only the most critical contacts or work-related tools. Set designated response times. Block out specific times during your day to check and respond to messages or emails. For example, once in the morning, midday, and evening. Let others know your schedule if needed, such as through an automated email response. I typically respond to emails between times. Thank you for your patience. Assess the urgency. When a call or text comes in, pause. Ask yourself, does this require immediate attention? Or can it wait until you've finished what you're currently doing? Communicate your boundaries. If people are used to instant replies, it's okay to let them know things have changed. For example, say, I've decided to manage my time differently, so I might not respond as quickly as before, but I'll always get back to you. A practical tip: start small by introducing intentional pauses. Wait 5 minutes before replying. Gradually extend that time as you grow more comfortable prioritizing your focus. In the words of Seneca, it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Reclaiming your power begins with mindful boundaries around your attention. By choosing when to engage, you show respect for your time, your energy, and your goals. Focus on what truly matters and let the rest wait. You agree to things you don't want to do. How often do you say yes when you really want to say no? For many, the fear of letting others down or being perceived as difficult leads to a pattern of overcommitting and agreeing to things you don't want to do. But when you constantly prioritize others' desires over your own, you risk losing yourself in the process. Stoicism teaches us to live authentically and in harmony with our values. As Epictetus said, no one is free who is not master of himself. Saying yes against your better judgment is not freedom. It's a self-imposed burden. Here's how this can play out in your daily life. A colleague asks you to take on a project, and despite feeling overwhelmed, you immediately agree. A friend invites you to an outing you're not interested in, but you say yes because you don't want to disappoint them. A family member asks for a favor that disrupts your plans, and instead of setting boundaries, you go along with it. At the moment, it may seem easier to say yes than to risk conflict or rejection. But each time you do, you're compromising your time, energy, and often your peace of mind. Saying yes when you want to say no can lead to a cascade of negative outcomes. Resentment builds. Each time you agree to something you don't want to do, resentment can creep in. Toward the person who asked, or even toward yourself. You neglect your needs. By constantly prioritizing others, you leave little time for what truly matters to you, whether it's rest, hobbies, or personal growth. It drains your energy. When you're doing things out of obligation rather than genuine desire, it can feel exhausting and unfulfilling. People take advantage. Over time, others may start to expect your compliance, making it harder to set boundaries. From a Stoic perspective, this behavior conflicts with living a life guided by reason and self-control. If you're constantly governed by others' expectations, you're not truly in control of your choices. Ask yourself, am I agreeing because I want to, or because I feel I have to? What will it cost me? Mentally, physically, or emotionally? To say yes to this request? Reclaiming your power doesn't mean refusing every request. It means learning to pause and evaluate before committing, and having the courage to say no when something doesn't align with your priorities or capacity. Pause before answering. When someone asks you to do something, don't respond immediately. Say, let me think about it and get back to you. This gives you time to assess whether you truly want or are able to take it on. Know your priorities. Reflect on what's most important in your life right now. If a request conflicts with those priorities, it's a clear indication to say no. Learn to say no gracefully. Saying no doesn't have to be confrontational. Practice phrases like, "Oh, thank you for thinking of me, but I can't commit to that right now." "Oh, I'd love to help, but my schedule is full at the moment." Embrace the discomfort. It's normal to feel awkward or guilty when setting boundaries, especially if you're used to people pleasing. But remember, every no you say to others is a yes to yourself and your well-being. Reframe your mindset. Understand that declining a request doesn't mean you're selfish. It means you're respecting your limits. As Seneca said, nothing is more honorable than a grateful heart and a focused mind. By focusing on what truly matters, you live with greater intention. By learning to say no, you're not just protecting your time. You're honoring yourself. This isn't about rejecting others, but about embracing your freedom to choose how you live and spend your energy. In the end, you can't please everyone, but you can live a life that pleases you. Let go of the need to say yes to everything and focus on what aligns with your values and goals. Saying no when necessary is an act of self-respect, one that strengthens your resolve and inner peace. You feel taken for granted. Do you ever feel like you give endlessly, yet your efforts go unnoticed? Feeling taken for granted can be draining. It's as though your value is only recognized when others need something from you. While helping and caring for others is admirable, Stoicism reminds us to maintain balance and self-respect in all our interactions. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." A good life involves not only serving others, but also ensuring you're not diminishing yourself in the process. Feeling underappreciated is often a sign that it's time to reevaluate your boundaries and the relationships around you. Being taken for granted might look like this in your everyday life. At work, you're the one who always stays late to help out, yet others get credit or recognition while you don't. In friendships, you're the one always listening, offering help or initiating plans, yet your kindness is seldom reciprocated. At home, you're constantly handling responsibilities, but others assume you'll take care of things without ever offering thanks or help. Over time, this behavior sends a clear, unspoken message. Your efforts are expected rather than appreciated. Feeling taken for granted isn't just frustrating. It's a deeper signal that something in the relationship dynamic may be off. It erodes your self-worth. When people don't acknowledge or value your efforts, it can make you question your importance or worth. It fosters resentment. Over time, giving without receiving creates frustration and resentment toward those you care about. It drains your energy. You expend so much effort supporting others that you're left depleted, with little time or energy for yourself. From a Stoic perspective, this is a misuse of your energy. As Epictetus reminds us, who then is invincible? The one who cannot be upset by anything outside their reasoned choice. Allowing others to take you for granted disrupts your inner peace and distracts from living a purposeful life. Ask yourself, do the people in my life appreciate me? Or are they only focused on what I provide for them? If I stopped giving, how would the relationship change? Reclaiming your power means breaking the cycle of being taken for granted. It's about balancing generosity with self-respect. Set clear boundaries. Communicate your limits to those around you. For example, say, "I can't take on any extra work this week," or "I'd appreciate help with dinner tonight." Be firm yet kind in expressing your needs. Seek reciprocity. Evaluate your relationships. Are they mutual, or is one person always giving more? Focus your energy on those who show genuine appreciation and contribute to the relationship. Express your feelings. If someone is taking you for granted, address it respectfully. For example, I've noticed I'm often the one handling specific tasks or actions. It would mean a lot to me if we could share the load more equally. Focus on self-appreciation. Instead of waiting for external validation, cultivate your sense of self-worth. Practice gratitude for your own efforts and achievements by journaling or reflecting on what you bring to the table. Learn to say no. Avoid overextending yourself by declining tasks or commitments that don't align with your priorities or well-being. Remember, every time you say yes to others, you're saying no to yourself. By reclaiming your time and energy, you shift the dynamic in your relationships. You're no longer merely an endless resource. You're an equal participant who values mutual respect and appreciation. This not only improves your connections with others, but also strengthens your relationship with yourself. Stoicism reminds us to focus on what we can control: our actions, our boundaries, and our energy. You can't control how others treat you, but you can choose to show yourself the respect and appreciation you deserve. By shifting your focus inward, you create a life where your kindness is balanced with self-respect, leading to greater harmony and fulfillment. You prioritize others' needs over your own. Helping others can be a beautiful thing, but when you consistently place other people's needs above your own, it can lead to burnout and feelings of neglect. This habit often stems from a deep desire to feel useful or loved, but it can backfire if it leaves you depleted. Stoicism encourages us to act with intention and balance. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, do everything as if it were the last thing you were doing in your life. By constantly putting others first, you risk living a life that neglects your own needs and desires. Prioritizing yourself isn't selfish. It's essential for living a full and authentic life. Prioritizing others over yourself can manifest in many ways. At work, you frequently take on extra responsibilities to help colleagues, even if it means sacrificing your own time or well-being. With friends or family, you're always the one accommodating their schedules or preferences, leaving no room for your own. You forgo self-care like rest or personal hobbies because you feel guilty focusing on yourself when others need you. This can create a pattern where your own goals, health, and happiness are constantly sidelined. When you consistently put others ahead of yourself, several issues arise. Burnout and exhaustion. You can only give so much before you start to feel depleted. Neglecting your needs leads to physical, emotional, and mental exhaustion. Neglect of your goals. Constantly prioritizing others leaves little to no time for your personal ambitions, dreams, or self-improvement. One-sided relationships. Over time, people may begin to expect your sacrifices, reinforcing unequal dynamics where your needs are undervalued. Loss of identity. When your life revolves around others, it becomes harder to recognize what truly matters to you. Epictetus advised, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. If you don't set your own priorities, you'll always live according to someone else's. Consider, when was the last time you prioritized your needs? What would your life look like if you carved out time and energy for yourself? Reclaiming your power requires redefining what it means to care for others. It doesn't mean abandoning the people you love. It means finding balance so you can give from a place of abundance, not exhaustion. Here's how. Identify your needs. Take time to reflect on what matters most to you. Is it rest, pursuing a goal, or simply having quiet time each day? Acknowledge that your needs are just as important as anyone else's. Set healthy boundaries. Practice saying no when a request conflicts with your well-being. For example, I'd love to help, but I need some time for myself right now. Or, I can't take on anything extra this week. Schedule time for yourself. Make self-care non-negotiable. Block off time in your calendar for activities that nurture your mind, body, and soul, and treat it as a priority. Ask for help when you need it. Stop trying to do everything alone. Whether it's at work, home, or in relationships, don't hesitate to delegate or ask for support. Focus on equal relationships. Shift your energy toward people who respect your time and reciprocate your care. Avoid dynamics where you're expected to always give without receiving in return. A practical tip. Start small by dedicating just 15 minutes a day to something purely for yourself. Over time, build those moments into larger commitments that honor your needs. Stoicism reminds us to live with intention and balance. By prioritizing your own needs, you not only improve your own life, you set an example for others. As you regain control of your time and energy, you become a stronger, more present person for yourself and for those you care about. You rarely say no. Do you find yourself saying yes to almost every request? Even when you'd rather say no, this habit might seem harmless or even helpful, but in the long run, it can leave you overcommitted, overwhelmed, and drained. The inability to say no is often rooted in a desire to please others or avoid conflict. But Stoicism teaches us that true power comes from aligning our actions with what is right for us. Epictetus reminds us, if you wish to improve, be content to appear clueless or stupid in extraneous matters. Sometimes saying no isn't about rejection. It's about choosing what's worth your time and focus. Saying yes to everything might look like this. At work, you agree to take on extra assignments, even when your plate is already full, because you don't want to let others down. With friends, you accept every invitation or favor, even if it disrupts your schedule or leaves you drained. At home, you handle responsibilities for others that they could manage themselves, just to keep the peace. You might believe you're being generous, but saying yes too often can mean sacrificing your own priorities and peace of mind. Rarely saying no comes with significant consequences. Burnout. Constantly saying yes leaves no room for rest or self-care, leading to exhaustion. Loss of focus. When you take on too much, your own goals and priorities inevitably fall by the wayside. Resentment. Overcommitting can breed resentment toward those who asked for your help, even if they didn't mean to take advantage. People-pleasing cycle. Saying yes repeatedly teaches others to expect your compliance, creating a cycle that's hard to break. From a Stoic standpoint, this is a misuse of your energy. If your time and actions are governed by external demands, you're not truly in control of your life. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. Saying yes to everyone and everything only dilutes your strength. Ask yourself, when I say yes, is it because I truly want to, or am I afraid of saying no? How does this impact my well-being? Reclaiming your power means learning when to say no, and doing so with confidence and grace. It's not about being dismissive or selfish. It's about protecting your time and energy for what truly matters. Here's how you can start. Pause before committing. When faced with a request, take a moment to consider your capacity. A simple, "let me think about it and get back to you," can give you the space to decide whether it aligns with your goals and energy. Set your priorities. Determine what's most important to you, whether it's a personal project, rest, or spending time with loved ones. If a request conflicts with your priorities, it's okay to say no. Learn to say no politely. Practice saying no in a way that feels respectful yet firm. For example, "I appreciate the invitation, but I can't make it this time. Thanks for asking, but I'm focusing on other commitments right now." Understand your worth. Recognize that your value isn't tied to how often you say yes. Focus on what you bring to the table when you genuinely choose to help, rather than overextending yourself out of obligation. Reframe guilt. It's natural to feel guilty when saying no, especially if you're used to people-pleasing. But remember, every no you give to something that drains you is a yes to something that nurtures you. Saying no doesn't make you unkind or unavailable. It makes you intentional. When you protect your time and energy, you show respect for yourself and your own priorities. This balance allows you to contribute to others more meaningfully when you do choose to say yes. Stoicism teaches us to act with wisdom and purpose, not to be driven by guilt or external expectations. By learning to say no when necessary, you create a life guided by clarity, balance, and self-respect. Remember, reclaiming your power starts with small, intentional steps. As you learn to set boundaries, say no when needed, and prioritize yourself, you'll build a life that's not just about pleasing others, but honoring your own values and goals. If this video resonated with you, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss more insights on living with intention. We'd love to hear how you're reclaiming your power. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your journey starts with a single step, and you've already begun. Thanks for watching, and take care of yourself today. It's the first step toward a better tomorrow.